right about now saying, yo, I will carry the cross. I will speak truth to life. I guess if you're going to go out, if you're going to be lynched, if you're going to be killed by the police or whatever, you might as well go out speaking your truth.
There's a famous quote in the Bible where Jesus said, those who try to save their life will lose it. And those who will lose their life for my sake will gain it. Harriet Tubman lived a very dangerous life, but she lived to almost be 100 years old. We don't determine when we leave. It is our job to do the work and leave the determinations to God. It's not for us to judge if we're going to be successful or not. That ain't up to us. That comes from supreme consciousness. God Almighty determines if the work is going to be successful, not us. But we are obligated to do the work. We don't know what's going to become of it. But as the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said, even if you fail, your example will serve as a motivation for generations yet unborn to pick up that cross and keep on pushing. And I'll be honest with you. I know most of my Christian brothers and sisters, they waiting for Jesus to come back. Well, I got some news for you. When Jesus comes, he will not be coming back to deliver you. He will be coming back to give you an ass whipping because you have not been doing the work. The black church has not been doing the work of a Jesus Christ. They don't want to see Jesus. When Jesus comes back, he ain't bringing no gifts. He's coming back to chastise his followers. So how could y'all let this go on? How could you let one out of every 4 black boys graduate from high school and you driving a Mercedes-Benz talking about you follow me? How you going to have half the black men in America unemployed and here you is living in luxury talking about you following me? How you got half of all black women and girls being sexually abused by other men in the church and in the masjid, and you got the nerve to say that you following me? If Jesus came back today or tomorrow, he would say, all you who claim to be followers of me are not of me. I rebuke you.
Amen. I got that. And, there was two that we got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, even during Christ, there were those, that there were churches, there were those who were not with him. But if you remember that, it was the church and the Pharisees and the Sadducees and so forth that gave him up and was, totally against his preaching, his teachings, and what he stood for.
And why did they give him up? Jesus exposed them for their hypocrisy. And because their egos were so scorned by the fact that a youth, Jesus was a youth exposed the hypocrisy of the elders. And for exposing the hypocrisy of the elders in the Hebrew church, they served him up to the white supremacist government. They did to Jesus the same thing Negro leaders do today when young Christs are born. When these young leaders come up exposing the hypocrisy of the black church, they get so offended. And those who claim to be followers of God will take one of their own. Jesus was one of their own. They took one of their own and served him up to the white government. I'll be damned.
Well, you're getting it live and direct here from Dr. Umar Johnson. No holds barred, no sweet, no sugarcoating. You're getting it real. And, for those who, the phone lines everyone is just texting and blowing it up. For those who are listening, if the shoe don't fit, absolutely don't wear it. But if it does, offend, remember the Lord says that he comes to offend, man. He comes to, he's coming so this way you could get your house in order. Those who are with me in those days, he's going to come and he's going to let you know, you were never with me. I know you not, because you weren't doing what you were called to do. We are supposed to be defenders of the weak. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link, I was told. And therefore, if you are only as poor or is, as the man that's sleeping and eating out of the garbage can, no matter if you're drinking Cristal and whatever it is that you drink each and every morning. So I could buy into that. I could buy into that. Oh yeah. Look at the phone lines. We're not taking any calls. We're gonna reserve those for the next time Dr. Umar is back. But we're gonna do a little turn here again. We got about 15 or so minutes to go.
One thing we didn't do, my brother. One thing we didn't do, if I could, going back to the education piece, I want to throw out, if I may, 3 tips for your parents. 3 tips.
Go ahead.
Because although I know they'll be coming out to see me on June 2nd, I don't know how many of them may have issues with their children's school prior to then. Let me give them 3 tips for black parents dealing with the school system, public, private, parochial, charter, or independent. Tip number 1, never go to a school meeting by yourself. I need black mothers and black fathers. Stop going to the school by yourself. The school is a criminal undertaking. When you go to the school by yourself, they set you up for failure. They will bully you. They will intimidate you. They will forge your name. And the reason you don't need to go by yourself is you need to have a witness. You need to have someone who can testify as to what was actually agreed upon at that meeting. You need someone who can testify as to what actually was said out of the mouth of the principal or the teacher. You need to have witnesses. And when you don't have witnesses, the school will always win against you because, as you know, they always have witnesses. They will bring 5, 10, 15, 20 people into that meeting for that one parent. So please stop going by yourself. It's a recipe for failure. Always have backup. Second rule, sign nothing until you read it thoroughly and agree with everything that it says. Sign nothing until you read it thoroughly and agree with everything that it says. Take it home. Stop signing paperwork on the spot. These schools are so ignorant and disrespectful towards black parents, they will give you something and say, can you just sign it? They don't even give you time to read. I just need you to sign it. And see, the assumption is that black parents don't care anyway. The assumption is you're not interested in your child's education in the first place. You people don't read. You people don't read. All y'all care about a social network. So just sign and keep going. I need parents to stop signing. Tell them I'm going to take it home, read it over. If I decide to sign it, you'll get it tomorrow. And the third tip, and I'll be going over many of these tips on June 2nd, but the third tip for now is very important, that our single-parent black mothers who are raising 75% of our children alone, our single-parent black mothers who are raising 75% of our children alone, stop telling the school your personal family business. The school is an extension of the mass incarceration complex. The teachers are the new police officers, and the principals are the new wardens. And anything you tell that teacher about your family can and will be used against you. They should not know that your son's father is in jail. They should not know that you are unemployed. They should not know that you're living with your mother. They should not know your personal business because they will use it to force you to do whatever they want you to do.
There you go. Absolutely. Wow. It's a lot, man. I wish you got time, brother? 'Cause if you got time, I could make the powers that be here at 963 open up the ways and give us at least another 15 minutes.
Sure.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm reaching out to Scotcha P right now. Scotcha P would have definitely come in at 12. Scotcha, hit me up, please, and let me know if you're willing to give up some time so we could move forward with Dr. Umar at least another 15 minutes to a half an hour, because there's so much we want to cover, man, and there's no way we're going to do it in 14 minutes. You're listening to 963 IMG Radio, St. Patrick, Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Johnson, let me ask you this. For the adults that is out of the school system, those that are, young adults, they're out the school system, maybe in college, not in college, don't have a job right now, maybe have 1 or 2 strikes against them as far as this system is concerned. Where do you see, what's your opinion or your as far as they're concerned?
They have to go to entrepreneurship. They have to go to entrepreneurship, especially those who have a prison record. And to be honest with you, it can be a blessing in disguise that they're having a tough time finding a good job, because that means that if they're finding a tough job, if they're having a tough time finding a good job, they're going to have to save the pennies that they do make in order to go into business for themselves. And as you know, I am not a proponent of the U.S. government at all, but there is an agency that I do think a lot of our brothers and sisters need to check out, and that's the United States Small Business Administration, the SBA. And the reason I recommend that is I went through a entrepreneurial training program in Philadelphia a couple of years ago, and they really introduced us to the United States Small Business Administration. And I really think anyone who's thinking about opening their own business, and all of us should, because the business of America is racism and business, okay, we need to really take out the resources that they have at the Small Business Administration. There's grants for startup businesses. There's coaches for startup businesses. You can be linked up with someone who actually has been successful in running the same business that you want to open. They even have a small business library. Let's say you want to open up a restaurant. You can actually get dozens of business plans that people actually used to run a restaurant. You want to open up a bookstore. You can get dozens of business plans that people actually used before to operate their business. So it's just a wealth of resources. Again, I am not a supporter of the government, but with that SBA, I think there's some good information that can help a lot of us from making some wrong decisions with running our business. It doesn't require you to sign on or anything like that. And I do want people to be very careful about that, because what's going on now with these business incubation programs, there's a lot of business incubation programs where they help you grow your business. They help you grow your business, but what they don't tell you is that in growing your business, they now own a percentage of it. So for those who are going through these programs, be very careful about signing any paperwork that gives them a percentage of what you do. As a community, we're going to have to rethink sending all of our children to college. As a community, we're going to have to rethink sending all of our children to college, because the only thing Black America has been getting from this automatic college culture that Black America has fallen for is a lifetime of debt to the banks of America. We have over 2 million African Americans with college degrees, masters, and doctorates who cannot find work. College is not an automatic recipe for success, but it is an automatic recipe for debt.
Yeah, one of the things, I came across is that a tremendous amount of people, white, Black, and others, that have made it and, that are millionaires, actually did not graduate college. Bill Gates didn't graduate college, and so many actors and artists, made their money not graduating college. So why is it that we're being pushed to think that college is actually the way?
It goes back to the deindustrialization of the inner cities that took place during the decade of the 1970s. After they deindustrialized the high schools, when they took out the carpentry, the plumbing, the electric, the auto mechanic, the woodworking, all of the skills that used to pay the bills, they stripped them out of the Black community. And then they fed us a program of going to college. Now, coming from a history of servitude where we were only allowed to be laborers, coming from a history where we were only allowed to be laborers, the Black community is also at fault here, because we bought into the government narrative that for Black children to be more successful than their parents, they need to go to college. That was actually a false narrative. And what it served to actually do was give the white racist building trade unions a total monopoly on the construction and who gets hired on these new construction projects that go up every day in the inner city. So, for example, if you go downtown Brooklyn, downtown Manhattan, downtown Queens, and you look at all the new buildings that are being constructed, it's being constructed with almost exclusively white labor, Mexican labor, Chinese labor. There's a few brothers on the job, but many of them are not skilled laborers. They are unskilled laborers, and many of them are not even protected with workman's comp and other things like that, because they don't have the certifications that allow them to actually serve as subcontractors. So you're sitting around a whole bunch of college-educated Black people, unemployed, but yet you're watching all these Mexicans and Chinese and whites go to work using their hands. We should have never start telling our children that the only way to be successful in America is to go to college. That is absolutely nonsense. Every doctor's office, a doctor might work in a doctor's office, but that doctor's office was built by carpentry, electric, plumbing. Same thing for the psychologist. Same thing for the lawyer.